to 3 Count Commentaries. Today, we're going to talk about AEW Dynamite from May 3rd, 2023. And today was a big day for AEW. They got some pretty good news on their pre-sale. And then Tony Khan spurged out. And, oh my God. Let's just talk about that first. I know that's what a lot of people are here for. You hear me talk about Tony Khan spurging out. So apparently, here's what happened. Dave Meltzer announced that there was about 35,000 seats sold at Wembley. It later went up to about 43,000. So it's somewhere between 35 and 45,000 seats sold at Wembley. And they make it somewhere between $4 to $5 million, almost $6 million. That's a pretty good net. So, Mike Coppinger, a boxing reporter from ESPN, said, quote, "Hearing Wembley is scaled for only 40,000 for AEW. Far cry from last April when I was ringside for Tyson Fury Dillian Whyte, and it was packed to the brim with 94,000. Nothing beats the big fight feel at Wembley." So, Tony Khan went on absolute tirade, saying, quote, "Lies. What a load of crap. Tell your agent Nick Khan to shove it up his ass." Then he came back saying, "Since you carry the credentials of a credible reporter, plus represent the worldwide leader, I'm just curious. Who is your source for this? And how can a reporter representing ESPN tweet something about a legit news story that's so blatantly wrong and easily verified as a falsehood?" All right. So, here is the story. Mike Coppinger, the ESPN reporter, he was repped by Creative Arts Agency, which is the CAA, in 2019 when he was renegotiating with ESPN or negotiating to go to ESPN. His agent was not Nick Khan. In fact, Creative Arts Agency, CAA, they rep tons of people, celebrities of all stripes. Do they all work for Nick Khan all of a sudden? So this paranoia about Nick Khan being out to get him continues. So even if they do have some kind of tangential relationship, which they obviously do, Mike Coppinger participated in an article with SB Nation. In this article, he was talking about boxing, but he mentioned some of the most influential people in boxing, and Nick Khan was one of them. So this was before Nick Khan joined WWE. So this was in 2019 or something. Give David Bixenspan credit. He actually looked this up. Again, I always say Bixenspan, he's a nerd. He's crazy enough to actually go looking. And he's like me in that regard. I will go look. It was far more important to me to see if this guy really was agented by Nick Khan than about Tony Khan spurging. I really didn't care about that. I mean, he spurgs all the time. But it was really important to me to see whether the content of what Tony Khan was saying was untrue or not. And it turns out that he's also spreading misinformation. So he claims that this Mike Coppinger guy is spreading misinformation. Here's part of Coppinger's statement that is true and can be verified. Dillian Whyte versus Tyson Fury did do like 90,000 people. It's like 91,000 people. It was an insane number of people. And so whether AEW is going to open up the entirety of Wembley or not is still unknown. Now, I did see a wrestling outlet, Wrestling Inc. They claimed that Ticketmaster released a seating chart, but then deleted it. So apparently somebody screenshotted the seating chart. So the seating chart does exist. That being said, though, that's not like the final product. Okay, so there's a reason why they deleted it, because it probably was incorrect or in some way. And plus, this seating chart was released on April the 25th, so over a week before the actual tickets were going to go on sale. So it's amazing to me that Mike Coppinger is being attacked for spreading false information when Tony Khan was also spreading false information. So that's interesting enough. But again, he's doing his crazy marketing gimmick where he thinks WWE is out to get him. He's still waiting on to see what the bots are and all this kind of stuff. But it was weird that Mike Coppinger just kind of jumped on this like out of nowhere, because considering this guy doesn't really he doesn't follow wrestling. He's a boxing guy. So at least you could say to some degree that it was suspicious that Mike Coppinger would get involved with this whole thing. But yeah, it is a far cry from Dylan White and and Tyson Fury, which, Tyson Fury is one of the biggest draws in sports. Boxing has a massive following, and England loves when they have a heavyweight champion. So everything's cool there. There should be no surprise that AEW is not on the same level as goddamn the world champion boxer. It's not that big of a deal. So that comparison literally makes no sense to me. It's kind of foolish. That being said, Tony Khan, being this paranoid, delusional boss who doesn't blink, and every time you see him, he's saying and doing odd things or doing normal things in an odd way. It really is awkward. The fact that his fans continue to fan the flames is even more awkward to me. I know that people are big fans of Tony and what Tony is doing for wrestling, as if these people actually care about wrestling. But, that's my opinion, that they don't really give a shit about wrestling. They just want to see somebody other than WWE thrive. Again, it's the same people that was going on with ECW and WCW and TNA and Ring of Honor. It's the same audience, okay? Tony Khan is finally putting some real money behind something that they actually wanted, which is not WWE. So, and it doesn't matter who the boss is. He's just putting some money. It doesn't matter who the wrestlers are either, as we've seen over the years. They'll quickly turn on a wrestler too if they leave AEW or threaten to leave AEW or whatever. We've gone through that numerous times over the channel, from Big Swole to Brian Cage to just so many of them, that when they left, all of us, Jonathan Gresham, all these people who were supposed to be game changers or big stars or whatever, and as soon as they leave, they get attacked because, this cult of Tony Khan. That being said, though, there is a lot of people in the wrestling media who continue to fan the flames of Tony Khan, to, egg him on to do this stuff more, to speak out, to spurg out, because it gets them more clicks and more headlines. And that's really all this is. It's just people looking to feed each other for clicks and headlines. It's not necessarily, I would be concerned, if we're being honest, that he even cares about what some random guy from ESPN says. I mean, you could easily prove him wrong by, posting a seating chart of your own if that's what you wanted to do. But asking the guy what his source was, which is a surprising question, considering we ask people what their sources are all the time, and we're basically told, a reporter never divulges his sources. But when it comes to this guy, all of a sudden, you're not supposed to ask about sources. But that's just Tony Khan being Tony Khan, man. I mean, he is what he is, but he's doing something good right now. And because he's doing something good, I want to note this tweet. This was a quote unquote banger tweet that was put out. I'm not going to say by who, because I don't want anybody to look this person up or whatever. I have to be more careful about stuff like that as this channel grows, because then you start getting into that Gamergate shit, where if you start mentioning people on the channel and somebody says something to them, it gets traced back to you, and I don't want that. So this person tweeted out, "I'm typically anti-billionaire, but Tony Khan really used his wealth and resources to break up a near 2-decade monopoly, cater to long disenfranchised wrestling fans, and facilitate collaboration and camaraderie in the industry while working like 5 jobs on a daily basis. He's the GOAT, essentially." So that wasn't even really the big thing. Like, it was a banger tweet, but that wasn't really the weird thing. This was the weird one. Somebody says, "So same, like I'll still eat him when the revolution comes, but I'll feel bad about it." And this is an entire thread of communists talking about when they're going to eat Tony Khan, when they eat the billionaires. And here's another one. "Me when the revolution comes, with tears in his eyes, the Nino Brown meme with tears in the eyes and the gun to the head." They're going to kill Tony Khan for being a billionaire, which is, again, we've said numerous times, has nothing to do with him. That was something that was pushed upon him by his father. His father is a billionaire. But Just think about that. These communist wrestling fans are talking about murdering Tony Khan for the crime of being the son of a billionaire. These people are unhinged. No matter how, and these are pro AEW fans, by the way. These aren't like crazy WWE fans. No. These are people who are definitely upset that they will have to kill Tony Khan. Saying, quote, he gets eaten last. He gets the special seasoning. These people are insane. All right? There are insane people on this earth. Both pro and anti Tony Khan. Okay? These people are insane. But insanity is no excuse for this kind of stuff. I'm used to the insane. I've never heard anybody talk about eating somebody just for being rich. Outside of the communist circles where eating people is, that's the outcome of communist policy. We're not going to go down that road though. Just want you to know there's insane people in every faction of this crazy stuff right here. Okay. So now that we've talked about that, let's get into the nitty gritty here a little bit. So, AEW supposedly sold 35 to 45,000 tickets, thereabouts. So they're close about what I said they would do, which is about 50. That being said, I know a lot of people, they don't really want to say anything about it, but scalpers. Okay, everybody knows that scalpers exist. We will see in the arena how many people actually showed up. Now, that being said, it should be noted, because I'm about being fair on this channel, that if people spent money on these tickets and then they can't resell them, AEW still gets that money. So if AEW really did sell 45,000 tickets or whatever, that's great. They get paid for 45,000 tickets. Even if only 20,000 people show up, it's going to be an empty ass arena, but they already got the money. So scalpers, if they ain't learned by now, they ain't gonna learn. Okay. So I think AEW will do about 50. I think that's a solid enough number. I think that's a fair number. Again, I'm looking at this in terms of England is a very strong market for AEW. It's a wrestling starved market for AEW. It's a starved market for wrestling in general, but specifically for AEW, when I think they're on regular television there. And I've talked about it before. They have greater reach than WWE because WWE has been behind a paywall for years. So being on free television and being not WWE is going to bring some excitement. And also Wembley. This is a different Wembley Stadium than the one from 1992. So this one has actually never had a wrestling show as far as I know. So this is a completely new ball game. There's a lot of little things to be excited about. Supposedly CM Punk's on the way back. There's going to be some more surprises. They may sign, some people, push some people to show up. They're going to try to make it a really big show. So this could be a pretty big win. Also, it looks like they're going to surpass WCW's greatest attendance, which was the Georgia Dome. 40,000 people in the Georgia Dome, it was somewhere in the neighborhood of 38 to 40,000. Depending on, who you trust. It's always difficult to decide how many actual tickets were sold for a show versus how many were comps, and, whether they count in the janitors and the popcorn vendors like WWE does or whatever the hell. So it's going to be very difficult to know, but it looks like this show will overshadow the WCW Georgia Dome Nitro episode. So that ought to put them solidly in the record books in terms of wrestling attendance. So that ought to be great. But that's only if the people actually show up. Now tickets sold versus people actually showing up, it's going to be completely different. We are in a stronger era of scalpers than it was in the 90s, because people used to have to hang out outside the arena to sell tickets, and you have to actually show up to the arena to get the tickets at that point. Now you can just resell them online. And if you can't resell them, then, well, you just lost that money. So I'm more interested in how it's going to look inside the venue. I think Don Tony posted a video, or he posted a clip of Rihanna and Rihanna had like, I don't know, what he said, 30% of the building. That's about 30,000 seats. So Don Tony, when he did a video talking about 30,000 seats not being enough, he posted a picture of Rihanna. She did her anti-tour. She went to Wembley Stadium. She sold out the arena, 90,000 seats. 90,000 seats sold. But only like about a third of those people actually showed up, which says that the scalpers took an absolute bath on that show. And I'm thinking we're probably going to see something similar here, where they'll sell more seats than people will actually show up, which has become a running gag with AEW. They'll sell out, and then you'll see whole sections empty, you know? And it's not just this is all the seats we plan to sell. It would be we sold a lot more seats because scalpers jumped in and did their thing, but then the scalpers took a bath. And it's going to be a similar situation here where I expect them to actually not have people show up in the building to the same degree as people bought tickets. So when the show actually happens, I expect a half-empty building. And I expect them to avoid showing that half-empty building. And if they're smart, they're going to be realistic, and they'll know that the building's not going to be full from the top to the bottom. If fucking Rihanna couldn't fill it, I sincerely doubt AEW is going to be able to fill it. And it's not going to be like a knock on them. Again, when I talked about Tyson Fury, Rihanna's the same thing. They're both much stronger brands than AEW. And if, Tyson Fury was able to fill the building, but Rihanna wasn't, where is AEW on this pecking order? Not likely to be that big of a deal. But it also depends on how much the scalpers are going to resell the tickets for. Because apparently what happened with the Rihanna tour is that the scalpers jacked the prices up too far. And basically people were just like, nope, don't care about Umbrella, Ella that much, and just said they walked away from it. So it depends on how much the scalpers are going to upsell their tickets for. If it's going to be too much, though, it's going to be similar, and it's going to look naked in there. It's going to look like a flea market in that joint. Okay, so hopefully it looks good and it turns out okay. Now another piece of business for AEW is that it's been announced by Andrew Zarian. So this guy. So let's take it with a grain of salt off rip. Okay. So he's announcing that Dark and Dark Elevation have been canceled and that all wrestling content will be exclusive to Warner Brothers Discovery, but that is not including Ring of Honor. And this new deal that AEW has is apparently going to be because Collision is coming. So this is another Collision-based change, that they no longer want wrestling content for AEW to be anywhere outside of Warner Brothers Discovery, which, begs the question, does this include Fight? Are we going to start having, no, because Warner Brothers owns owns Bleacher Report. So maybe it could affect Fight. I don't know. That's a good question. I should probably ask. Somebody should ask. If this is true, that's a question everybody should ask, because Warner Brothers doesn't own Fight. So that means Bleacher Report will have to be the exclusive home for AEW pay-per-view events. Now, that's a question that we should probably be asking. But Dark and Dark Elevation being canceled or ended, who cares, really? Those shows are shows nobody watched. They're shows really only the hardest of the hardcores actually cared about. Maybe they'll turn them into something else. But this also explains why, I think Leva Bates, who used to be Blue Pants in NXT, she was let go from her contract, and probably some other people too, but they were very quiet about it because no longer is there a place for them with Dark and Dark Elevation ending. I'm pretty sure there's some people who will probably get gigs, working jobs and stuff like that. I mean, there's always places for that. There's always like Ring of Honor and stuff. But, having Dark and Dark Elevation end begs the question, hey, what about, the announced team? Because I think, then they bring Paul White in to do Dark Elevation or Dark or something like that when they launched that show. What is he going to do? Is he going to transition over to Ring of Honor? Is he going to transition over to Collision? What's going to happen here? So those are very interesting questions that, if this is true, these are things that we need to look into. So this has been News and Notes. Let's get into AEW Dynamite. I guess there's one more note that was kind of announced right before Dynamite aired. Some guy who used to work for Fightful, and now all of a sudden is a wrestling administrator at AEW. Look, I'm going to be honest. I don't really care that much about this because I don't really know who that guy is, but I do know he used to work for Fightful. And a lot of people who are familiar with the guy said he had a significant AEW bias, especially in recent weeks. Now, I do know that he actually quit his position at Fightful before he joined AEW. But if you have ever been hired for a job, you know, off rip, you've interviewed for the job already. You've probably been offered the job already. Then they give you a start date. So that means when I don't know. So maybe he did. But shouldn't people tell you that they interviewed for jobs like this? Or they were offered jobs like this while they have your attention as a journalist or whatever the hell he was doing? That seems to be pretty important. For me, this kind of deal where, the wrestling media ends up going to work for a wrestling company or vice versa. It's a lot like the vicious cycle in the political system with lobbyists and regulators and stuff like this, or lobbyists in the government. They leave the government to go work for a lobbyist, or they used to be in a lobbying firm. Now they go work for the government. And you're not supposed to ask any questions about that. That's one of the reasons why I say it don't really matter who the individuals are. The system is corrupt in and of itself. But I'm not going to be against a guy for getting a job. Plus, it's not like he can affect my life in any real way. I just think that it's interesting that a guy who was working for Fightful all of a sudden works for AEW, and people just said, "Congratulations," and clapped like seals instead of saying, wait a minute. Doesn't this taint everything that he was involved with? And wouldn't it also taint everybody who knew about this and didn't say anything about it? If this guy was writing articles or doing interviews or whatever while he was under some type of situation where he might sign to another wrestling company, it could create a conflict of interest. But of course, dudes at WrestleNomics work to the AEW, so it is what it is. Again, I don't really care. I just thought it was interesting. All right, let's move on to this show, which was absolutely, it was an episode of AEW Dynamite. What can I say? It was what it was. All right, Orange Cassidy, Bandito, Roderick Strong, and Adam Cole defeat the Jericho Appreciation Society. So Chris Jericho is wearing the shirt on Dynamite. And by the shirt, I mean the Britt Baker Black Eye t-shirt, which is a good usage of the shirt because he's wearing it to mock Adam Cole. So they have the match. It's just guys everywhere, people outside the ring forever. It's just chaos. Roderick Strong, okay. Adam Cole gets the win with his running knee strike. Then he immediately bolts to commentary where he tackles Chris Jericho, because Chris Jericho was on commentary the whole match. He basically just beats the tar out of Jericho near the commentary booth. Then security drags Adam Cole out of the building, kicking it. Well, not exactly kicking and screaming, which probably would have been a little bit better for a visual. But Jericho's following along, demanding that Adam Cole get removed from the building. Then Britt Baker walked up to Jericho, asked him where his boys are, where's his crew, where's his clique, and then smacked him. And then Jericho took a bump. Jericho went down. I was just looking like, huh? You didn't tell me this 112-pound girl dropped Chris Jericho? Come on. I give Jericho credit for trying to help Britt Baker get over in this situation too. But come on, man. Yeah. It just seems very extra. Especially since, the Outcast didn't jump her and beat the tar out of her right then and there, which, she probably should have. But whatever. I like the Adam Cole after the match, him attacking Jericho. I wish they would have just had him attack him during the match, because it shows that, Adam Cole has a great deal of composure. That it's absolutely mandatory that he wins this nothing match first before he attacks Chris Jericho, even though Jericho's wearing the shirt mocking his girlfriend. It feels like the moment Jericho came out there, Adam Cole should have been on it. Or if at any point during a lull in the match, Adam Cole should have been on it. And I think it would have worked better in my formulation in my head if it was like WWE, where Jericho and the commentary team was near the ring. With them, I guess, being so far away, it kind of makes sense that you would wait till after the match. But at the same time, he kind of shrugged off all the damage he took in the match to run up the ramp. And then Jericho was not paying attention the whole time it took for Adam Cole to run from the ring to the commentary table. Jericho was standing up yelling at the screen, I'm watching this in real time, him run. How are you not watching this in real time? Why didn't you look up when Adam Cole disappeared? Where is he going? And, but I'm asking for too much, clearly. All right, so Jungle Boy and Darby Allin, they're backstage. They don't like one another, but they have one thing in common, at least Jungle Boy thinks. That's their day one guys from AEW. I'm so tired of hearing that. I don't know what to do. And then he said that he never made event of the pay-per-view. Well, Darby Allin was in a marquee match with CM Punk, but technically he never closed the show. Darby Allin says that one of them will walk out with the championship. Then he drops Sting's "It's Showtime" thing. So this was the build-up for the tag team match. The second part of the build-up to this tag team match came from MJF and Sammy Guevara. So Sammy Guevara is backstage. He reminds MJF that he watched the show. He knows that the card was empty. Friends don't leave friends behind. MJF says that he had chronic back pain from carrying this company, and he needed to lay down. And he didn't want to say anything because he didn't want Sammy Guevara to think less of him. So Sammy Guevara kissed him on the forehead, said he believed him. And then they, of course, said they were going to win the match. Now, by pure happenstance, I happen to know that Sammy Guevara did a segment on AEW Rampage where his wife, and I was dumbfounded because I forgot they even got married, basically got in his face about this whole MJF thing. And she basically, I think they posted it online, or maybe somebody else did, or somebody brought it to my attention. I don't know. Y'all know I don't watch Rampage. In any event, there was a segment where Ty Mello was really kicking Sammy Guevara in the ass, verbally, of course, about this whole thing with MJF. If you're going to require that everybody watch the shows, shouldn't these segments matter? Shouldn't we take into account that he had a segment with his wife that basically says, what are you doing? Why are you doing this? This is your opportunity. This is your chance to be the world champion. You work so hard for this, yada, yada, yada. I don't know. And to be quite honest, I don't care. To be really quite honest, I don't give a fuck. It just is what it is. Later, MJF slides into the locker room of Jungle Boy and Darby Allin after Jungle Boy and Darby Allin shove each other in motivation. MJF once again reiterates to Jungle Boy that he thinks he got potential and says, look what I did to Sammy Guevara. He never made more money. He never was more relevant. And he never had an opportunity to main event before. Look what I did to him. You're better than he is. Think about what I could do for you. Which is a good character trait for MJF. He's always looking to scheme. Always got these temptations. Jungle Boy says he's not looking for a seat next to the throne. He's aiming for the throne, which I think is it's a good line, I'm not willing to be sitting next to the throne. I want to be on it. Wish we could have stopped right there, but Jungle Boy had to keep talking. And he said something mediocre after that. It was real bad. Anyway, what this leads to. It leads to our main event. If Darby Allin and Jungle Boy win, it becomes a fatal four-way match at Double or Nothing. And on the MJF Sammy Guevara side, as well as the Darby Allin Jungle Boy side, we got two-time time. Can they coexist? And MJF and Sammy Guevara could not coexist. And they got into it in the middle of the match, which led to Darby Allin and Jungle Boy winning. So despite the fact they had a really terrible mashup song, I mean, the mashup music, everybody's supposed to like that, but it was mostly just MJF's theme. I'm thinking, like, didn't we microwave this friendship between Guevara and MJF for 3 weeks or whatever? That thing was in the microwave. I mean, it was in the toaster. It just popped right out like, hey, look, they're best friends all of a sudden. Like, what? Oh, okay, I guess. Anyway, MJF is appalled. He now has to defend the title in a Fatal 4-Way match. So we took the scenic route to the Fatal 4-Way, as many people expected. I am perturbed because I don't like Fatal 4-Ways. At the same time, though, it's AEW, so who really cares? And then you have to ask the question, can any one of these guys really be fit to main event a pay-per-view by himself? You know, I know for me, it probably would have been better if it was Darby Allin versus MJF. But you have to ask the question, can Darby Allin or MJF draw a pay-per-view pretty much by themselves? The answer is no. I don't think that adding Sammy Guevara and Jungle Boy actually benefits business that much. You know, it's kind of like 1 + 0 + 0 + 0. If you look at drawing power, at least MJF has some, but the rest of them have none. So, I guess you could say 2 + 1 + 0 + 0. Because at least MJF draws on TV, you know, because they make his segments somewhat memorable. Well, at least they used to. Not so much anymore. And Darby Allin at least has a fan base and he can galvanize the AEW fan base. But Jungle Boy has nothing. He's got nothing going for him at this point. He has no business challenging for the world title. And Sammy Guevara has no business challenging for the world title. So we're in this really difficult situation where, I mean, you're probably better off with a singles match because at least you get somebody over. But if this was WWE, these dudes would have probably been in the 4th match, world title and all. You know how Vince used to do it. Vince used to fuck motherfuckers over. You know, you be the world champion, you on 3rd. you know, because you're not a draw. Your opponent's not a draw. You're going on 3rd. I remember he did that to like Benoit a couple of times, didn't he? Benoit and Kane would be like supposedly the main event, but they go on like 4th or something like that. You like, damn, Vince, what are you doing? But I mean, it is what it is. There's no drawing power here, and the story sucked. I don't know what more you can do. Poor MJF. You know, this is his world championship run, and instead of booking him with the big top stars, they're booking him with these guys that he feuded with 3 years ago, and most of them are less over now than they were 3 years ago. The only one who's probably more over is Darby. The rest of them are actually less over. But when you look at MJF, he's already had like top level feuds with quite a few guys. Punk and Moxley and Jericho, lengthy feuds with those dudes. So revisiting one of those probably isn't for the best. And that's really the extent of their main event level talent right now. You know, unless you were going to squeeze Jay White in there, unless you were going to squeeze Adam Cole in there, you know, those are the only other 2 guys I can think of. He's already feuded with Danielson. So, I mean, what else you got? You know, I guess you could have called in Miro. You know, you could have continued the business with Ricky Starks, but then Ricky Starks is in the same position as Darby Allin. He's a guy who can galvanize that fan base, but he ain't exactly the guy I would put in position to, you know, $50 pay-per-views. I don't know about that. So it's just unfortunate that they did so much with MJF before he got the title that now that he has it, you're kind of searching around for guys to pair him with. And they decided to just go with this. But this wasn't a good option. You know, it just wasn't a good option. I don't think MJF has had a significant feud with Kenny Omega yet. I think that would have been a good option just for this pay-per-view, of course, is for him to wrestle Kenny Omega. But then again, they may get into it at some other point in time because they are doing the Blackpool Combat Club Elite thing right now. but their world title was floundering right now. And it's sad because MJF for a long time was their top guy, was a TV draw. And now it's kind of like, these guys have become anchors around MJF's waist. He's trying, he's doing his best, but, when only one other one can cut a decent promo, I mean, there's no story other than we were here from the beginning and we work hard. It's like, oh my God, that sucks. How is that going to get anybody's attention? That doesn't cross generations or anything like that. It's stupid TV stuff. If this is leading to a TV match, I wouldn't be complaining so much. But because it leads to a pay-per-view, I would be like, no way, bro. That sucks. But what can you do? What can one do, as we say? Let's move on. Blackpool Combat Club. Danielson says that Bret the Hitman Hart is egotistical for calling himself the best there is, the best there was, the best there ever will be, assuming that nobody else will be as good as he is and nobody else will be better, and saying that he is better than that legend because he wants wrestlers to be better than him. He's going to demand that wrestlers be better than him. And if he isn't better than that legend, then one of these guys, meaning the Blackpool Combat Club, is. And I like this. I like that Danielson was the guy because he's the only guy you could actually believe can say something like this. And it's honest to him. It's believable to him and what he's been doing. So I like that Danielson went this route. Then Moxley comes in, and Moxley talking about blades sharpening blades, and that the Elite used to be so innovative and cutting edge, but not so much anymore. And it said that he hadn't had a good fight with Kenny Omega since 2019, but he wants to see what Kenny Omega 2023 has. And I was like, okie dokie. Iron sharpening iron. Okay. Is that how they see themselves? If so, that's interesting. I'm not against it because I do like that idea. And like I said, the Blackpool Combat Club feels like they're taking bits and pieces of the late stage Ring of Honor, the Foundation, which was Jonathan Gresham, Jay Lethal, Hot Sauce, Tracy Williams, and Rhett Titus. Those guys were basically the wrestlers of the company. And they were basically trying to really enforce what Ring of Honor stood for. They were like the purists. They were Puritans of Ring of Honor. And it seems like that's where the Blackpool Combat Club is going now with this. And I'm fine with it because it's Danielson. I'm not so sure about anybody other than Claudio. Like Claudio, okay. Danielson, okay. But Moxley is all screwdrivers and thumbtacks and barbed wire baseball bats. And it's like, I don't know, man. Like, he's doing something that's so different stylistically that I don't know if it fits what Danielson does. Now, if you was want to say like it's violence, then okay. So now when you have Danielson stabbing people with screwdrivers, it seems like he's doing more what Moxley does and not what he does, which is, very physical in-ring work. Very like a ferocious fighting style. And I guess that's what they're trying to get over with Moxley, but he just doesn't look good doing it. In terms of his punches look terrible. His knee strikes look awful. And Wheeler Yuta, oh, for fuck's sake, Wheeler Yuta just got the charisma of 10-day-old bread. God damn. I just be forgetting he even there sometimes. Sheesh. And maybe we should alter the name a little bit because nobody in this group is from Blackpool. So I don't know if we should continue calling ourselves the Blackpool Combat Club. But how can they change it while keeping the name somewhat similar? I don't know. The Boston, is anybody from Boston? The Boston Combat Club? How about the Cincinnati Combat Club? I know Moxley's from Cincinnati. That's the Triple C's. Where is Danielson from? He's from like Spokane or Seattle or something. I don't know. But look, it's the Blackpool Combat Club with nobody from Blackpool. Very weird. So, okay, let's move on because this is clearly not working out. Kenny Omega, he tried to cut a promo. It didn't work. He was very serious. He spoke very deliberately, but he literally didn't have anything to say, and then Don Callis cut him off. He says that he thinks about Moxley every day because he got his cracked skull and 23 stitches in his head. He said John Moxley is a sick, twisted, narcissistic sociopath, and that Kenny Omega is going to prove to him in that cage match that Moxley is not on his level. Kenny Omega then tried take 2 on his promo by saying that Moxley says that he has a plan, but there is no plan in this universe where you can touch me. Everything comes to an end in Detroit. You made it personal. I'm like, fuck. I want to go to this show in Detroit just because I want to go. I just want to be out in the wrestling shows more now. So I think I will go to the AEW Dynamite show at Little Caesars next week. But this promo failed to sell me on that match. Because I'm thinking like, okay, give me something to be excited about if I decide to go to this show. And I'm waiting, okay, like Kenny Omega, I know he can't do it. But maybe Don Callis can. And I was wrong. Don Callis did not sell 1 ticket. That being said, though, I still think I'm going to go to the show just to go and for the experience. I like to have these experiences. All right, second match. Saraya defeats Willow Nightingale in a match that felt like it was just on forever. The baby faces in this women's division are just absolute rereads, right? They keep coming out there by themselves, knowing that the outcasts are not by themselves, and then they lose. It's like, it's almost getting to the point of the bloodline, right? It's like you keep thinking you can overcome by yourself. You're like, no. They started cheating almost immediately. So, of course, Willow lost. You know, her music is so upbeat, and she comes out smiling all the time. I mean, she just comes up to overhead clap. She's so cute, but goddamn, she's a dummy. Anyway, after the match, the Outcasts jump her and beat her up. Then Hikaru Shida ran to the ring wearing those Japanese clop shoes. And I'm just looking like, I'm talking to elevated Japanese shoes. Like, I know those are her cultural shoes. But this ain't Samurai Champloo. Like, I'm thinking she's going to fall over in these things. Like, what's going on here? So she hits the ring, and you think she's about to save Willow. Nope. She gives a hug to the Outcast. I'm thinking, oh, how random is this? What a random heel turn. Like, she ain't been on TV in months. And now all of a sudden she's part of the Outcast, like out of nowhere. So they hug and they think they got everybody fooled. She's clopping around in these horseshoes. They give her this green spray paint. She's shaking it up, shake it. Then Britt Baker and Jamie Hayter come from under the ring dressed like monks, or he dressed like druids. Oh, whatever. They sneak up behind the Outcast. Sheeta sprays the Outcast with the green spray paint. Everybody's distracted, and then they beat him up. So Sheeta wasn't really joining the Outcast. It was a pump fake. It was a ruse. They got bamboozled. They got hoodwinked. The wool was pulled over their eyes. And then the Outcast got spray painted after Sheeta beat them with kendo sticks. And, okay. It makes more sense for her to come out as a babyface than it would have been for her to turn heel. I can tell you that much. That being said, though, where's all the other baby faces that that have been running down there previous weeks to help out? What happened to Riho and her pipe? Where'd she go? I don't know, man. I don't know what's going on anymore. It's just throwing random chicks out there now. Sheeta at least is cool. I was thinking that maybe they're gonna do something interesting, like her turning heel would be interesting, but it was just a pump fake. So I'm not really losing any sleep over this. I still hate this Outcast thing. It doesn't make any sense. But I think they finally found their trio that they're going to have combat them. But the Outcasts probably need to add a new member. Now that it's numerically even, it's time for the Outcast to add a new member. I don't know who that new member could be, but it's time for them to add a new member. All right, we get a House of Black vignettes. I honestly swear to God, I forgot they were the Trios champions. Swear to Jesus, I forgot. So they claim that their championships were tainted by those who are allowed to get away with murder, while others were punished for breaking the rules. So, is that a subliminal shot towards what was going on at the brawl out situation? Because, you know, the trios champions were the elite, and the elite, I guess people could say they were allowed to get away with murder. Some people tend to believe that they got away with going into CM Punk's locker room. Or is it the other way around? That, you know, CM Punk got away with murder while the elite were punished for breaking the rules. Who knows? But that would be the only context in which the titles would be tainted. So I don't really understand why this was part of their promo. But this was about, I guess, purifying those championships, making those championships mean something. So they created something they call open house rules or whatever the fuck. Well, basically, there's special rules for their trios matches, meaning that they have 20 counts outside the ring, no rope breaks, and that DQs enforced or dealer's choice, meaning I guess you make the decision. The challengers can make the decision of whether DQs count or not. I don't know. What's up with all the gambling stuff with AEW? Like, I guess everybody has to have a theme, but the gambling stuff is really raising my eyebrow. In any event, any three people can challenge them. That's the way they want to do it. And they did a trios battle royal later in the show. Now, the promo itself for House of Black, I wasn't too excited about it. Mainly because, I forgot they were the champions. Then I didn't know like who gave them the authority to make their own rules. You know, and then they say, okay, no rope breaks. Okay, that's fine. So then why would there be disqualifications if there's no rope breaks? Doesn't matter. No, doesn't matter at all. Anyway, this trios battle royal was a bathroom break for me. Then I saw Powerhouse Hobbs in it and I wanted to change the channel, like straight up. I was like, fuck. Then I saw the Lucha Brothers in this. I was like, fuck. Oh, God. This is terrible. The Acclaimed and Billy Gunn won, which I don't hate it. At least they're trying to find ways to keep the Acclaimed over. You know, they're trying to do what they can to make sure that the Acclaimed stay over. So they're giving them this opportunity, but it's exactly the same shit they did with the Elite. Like, they had a tag team title run, and instead of continuing with that, they just moved them on to the trios division. Okay. I don't see the Acclaimed winning the trios titles. So maybe they should just stay in the tag team ranks. But I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. This is all a mess, though. So now the Acclaimed and Billy Gunn are going to fight the House of Black, probably on Dynamite. So we'll get there when we get there, I guess. Because I have no excitement for this. Malachi Black is cool. Buddy Matthews is a guy that as soon as you find out how to really market him, he's going to be money. You just have to find a way to market him and get him in the right character where he can cut decent promos. Like, if he can cut decent promos, he can be a draw. That Brody King, though, he's just basically a big, subway train. He's got scribbles all over him. That's pretty much it. I really don't give a fuck about him. He's okay, though. But just basically whatever goes on in his brain ruins his matches. So overall, though, I think I like the look of House of Black. I just don't like how they've been used. They've been used very shittily. Very, very shitty. Wardlow has also been used in a shitty way. He wrestled some kind of jobberino in his match, powerbombed him and won. Barely powerbombed him at that. Wardlow then called out Luchasaurus and for an open challenge, which is not an open challenge. If you say you have to fight me, that's not an open challenge. That's a direct challenge. An open challenge means anybody can come fight me. So Luchasaurus came out there with Christian. Christian said that he will send his right hand down there to kick Wardlow's ass, but the title shot doesn't belong to Luchasaurus. The title shot belongs to himself. And I was like, dun, dun, dun. Okay, they don't want Wardlow beating Luchasaurus yet. He really shouldn't beat Christian either. But at least it's, believable for him to beat Christian. And Christian can actually get Wardlow over. So this ought to work out in ring, and it ought to work out a little bit in story. But it's not really working out in story yet. I'm hoping they're just getting started. And they're actually going to finally buckle down and let Christian talk and do stuff. Then Christian can get Wardlow over. But if it's just going to be Christian playing footsie with Wardlow and not going ham on him, this ain't going to work out. If Christian feuds with Wardlow like he feuded with Jungle Boy, Wardlow will be reheated. Probably not back to where he was because he was molten before. But he will most certainly be back in the conversation. But right now he's on the outside of that conversation. Well on the outside of that goddamn conversation. Not good, by the way. Really not good. Jay Lethal and Jeff Jarrett went to visit Mark Briscoe, and they went chicken farming or whatever. So he's picking up eggs and milking goats or some shit. I don't know what the fuck they were doing. Lethal and Jarrett then challenged FTR for the tag team championships before turning to Mark Briscoe and asking him what was their strategy for defeating FTR. So this was all about was they were going to Mark Briscoe's house to kiss his ass so that he can teach them how to fight FTR so they can win the tag team titles. That seemed to be what this is all about. Not awful. Okay. Mark Briscoe and his daddy maintain that they do great segments together. And this felt like really old school where, the guys go to the farm. Like you would have saw this in World Class or something like that. But usually you would see something like this as a punishment. But seeing guys do it because they're looking for information makes it a little bit more interesting. They're pretending to be friends of Mark Briscoe and try to pump him for information. Learn the deep secrets of FTR. It's like all you got to do is say something bad about FTR bald. He's just going to ball over and cry. I mean, it's that simple. Say something bad about him or his daughter on the internet. He might actually cry or something like that. And then you can win. He can't win a match if his eyes is filled with tears. If his Ned Flanders mustache is soaked with tears, there's no way he can win. I mean, the dude spent 3 or 4 months online talking about his anxiety. You might get a case of the shakes. And then all of a sudden, you got it in the bag. All you got to do is hurt his feelings. FTR bald. He's the weak link in the chain. All you got to do is say something mean. He's going to ball down. Oh, I'm not going to feed my daughter. Oh, my daughter. He's going to malfunction like a robot or something like that. And then you can just roll him up and win. I never beat the FTR, and I can tell you that. That's how you beat him. You got to hurt FTR bald's feelings. Hit him right where it hurts. I mean, it's easy. Just deal with FTR bald. FTR hair, not him. Okay? Totally not him. He's a sidekick. Don't worry about him. FTR bald's the one you want. That's the guy who's going to shiver and shake and throw up backstage, and, he won't know what to do with himself. Just say, whisper, like, get him in a good collar and elbow tie-up, and then whisper in his ear, Bret Hart sucks. He's like, what do you mean? What do you mean Bret Hart sucks? Well, I know the entire match that he had with Stone Cold Steve Austin backwards and forwards, and just, roll him up and win. I mean, just, put him in like a chin lock and tell him CM Punk sucks. What do you mean? That's my friend. Philip is my good friend. He's my best friend. I talk to him every day. And then you just roll him up and win. I mean, FTR ball is easy peasy, Japanesey. He's been, come on, man. You don't got to go pick up eggs. You ain't got to go chase roosters. You ain't got to have useless ass, garbage ass, bum ass Sanjay Dutt out there in overalls. You don't need to do all this. Just follow what FTR Bald says, and things ought to be easy from there. Okay, so just a little advice. You don't gotta listen to me. I ain't never beat nobody. Just saying. If I was gonna fight FTR Bald, that's what I would do. I would put him in a chin lock and tell him CM Punk sucks, and then see what happens. You know, he might malfunction like a robot. It might like be it might like be it might be like Black Adam or something like that. you say Bret Hart sucks, and he might just like power down and just be like, whoa. I don't know, man. Just put him in a chin lock and start seeing as Shawn Michaels sexy boy. Who knows what the fuck might happen? Guy head might explode or some shit like that. You know? Road Dogg was right. You know, like it's like throwing water on the witch at in the Wizard of Oz. He might fucking melt or something. I don't know, man. But I'm telling you, you just got so many trap doors with FTR balls. I don't see how you ask Mark Briscoe. I mean, I'm pretty sure Jay knew all the secrets. You know, he probably knew all the secrets, but he took him to his grave. Damn. All right, final segment. Ricky Starks versus Juice Robinson. Everybody told me I'm being too hard on Juice Robinson. Oh no, Juice Robinson, you ain't watched him in a long time. You ain't watched him since he did with Bullet Club. You haven't been. You're a hater. I'm just like, man, look, come on, brother. Come on, bro. Well, you only mentioned that he was the fake Macho Man. He did that for a few years, but he hasn't done that in a long time. Like, come on, man. Come on, man. You got to give me more credit than that, okay? You think I am not familiar with this bum? I am pretty familiar with this bum, all right? He pulled a Dolph Ziggler in New Japan, won like the U.S. title and then quit, and then came back as a completely different character. He sucks, bro. He sucks. So he wrestled Ricky Starks, so I was forced to watch it because I do like Ricky Starks. And I haven't seen Ricky Starks on TV in a while. So I was like, all right, I'm going to watch this and to see if I was wrong about Juice Robinson. Has Juice Robinson gotten better as a pro wrestler? And I knew AEW was going to give him enough time. And I knew AEW was going to give him time. I knew he was going to get at least 10 minutes to prove to Mongo and all of 3 count commentaries that he is not the piece of basura and human guano that I said that he was. So I said, all right, about 750,000 people thereabouts are about to watch this guy stink up Baltimore. Everybody's going to see if I'm wrong or not. So we all sat collectively. I'm pretty sure you were there. And you sat and you watched this match. What did you think of Juice Robinson? If you say that you thought Juice Robinson was good, come on. Now, he took good bumps. I'll say that. The body slam from the top of the steel stairs was a good bump. I thought he was going to body slam him on the stairs. Him walking up the stairs and slamming him off the stairs. It was a good visual. I liked it. Rest of the match, though, pedestrian. You literally could have replaced Juice Robinson with anybody. Match would have been the same. Literally could have replaced him with anybody. It would have been the same. This dude just got nothing. He's got nothing going for himself. Nothing. Poor Ricky Starks. Poor me. I feel bad for you. I feel bad for about the 750,000 thereabouts people who decided to watch this match. I mean, you could have replaced you could have replaced Juice Robinson with anybody. That could have been Wheeler Yuta. That could have been Daniel Garcia. That could have been Action Andretti. That could have been any of the faceless guys Wardlow has beat up. Any one of the faceless security guards he beat up. There was literally nothing special about Juice Robinson in this match. Literally nothing. And I walked away from it saying to myself, I guess he has improved. I guess he has improved. He's now gone from absolutely avoid at all costs Juice Robinson to he's nothing. So it doesn't matter if you watch this or not. It just takes so fucking long to get through it. I mean, if I want to nitpick the match, I could just talk about how they was outside the ring forever. I'm just talking like they was just outside the ring having a picnic. They was outside the ring making forts. Like they're just outside the ring forever. I'm like, bro, what the fuck? What are the rules? Like, what are the rules to this match? Okay. Then thank God it was over. He speared him. Rochambeau, match was over. I was like, praise God. At that point, Jay White came in there and he attacked Ricky Starks from behind. And then Ricky Starks actually fought Jay White off. I laughed at that one. I was like, Bullet Club gold. Not even Bullet Club bronze, my dude. Oh my goodness. Bullet Club aluminum. That's what you guys are. You and Juice Robinson. You knew this shit was bad when Juice Robinson was involved, Daddy. Come on, Daddy. You knew that one. You know it wasn't going to work out when Juice Robinson was involved. Poor Jay White. Poor Ricky Starks. Poor me. Poor you. I feel bad for all of us collectively. Anybody who has to deal with Juice Robinson, I feel bad for you. I mean, for fuck's sake, who wants to deal with this guy? I mean, just look at him. Look at the state of him. Look at the state of the things that he is involved with. It's awful. It's shits. So, but I guess Tony Khan likes him. I don't know why. I would imagine you hired him to keep a smile on Tony Storm's face, because, when back in the day, when she was our cherry lip Paul goddess, I'd have did anything to see her smile. I maybe even watched a Juice Robinson match just for that smile. Now I'm just kind of like, she's still a very pretty girl, but dealing with Juice Robinson, I don't know, man. Her thighs will have to get a little bit thicker in order for me to deal with Juice Robinson, okay? If I was Tony Khan, I would say, your wife's not fine enough. She's just not fine enough. She's fine. She's bad. I wouldn't say no. But having you just lingering around like a booger, no, thank you, sir. Hit the bricks, kid. Go back to Japan. Go to Impact. They could use Juice Robinson in Impact. And he was down there, and it was like a fart in an elevator. So tell you, boy, what? Juice Robinson sucks. Yeah, I can't come up with more creative ways to say it than that. He sucks. He's a nothing burger. He's just not happening. It ain't happening, kids. This Bullet Club thing ain't happening. Okay? It's dragging Jay White down. Jay White has only cut 2 promos since he been in this company, and both of them were basically Bullet Club promos, and it's not doing him any favors. Ain't doing Ricky Starks any favors. Ricky Starks beat up both of them by himself. We didn't even get bum-ass 10 guys this week, which is great. They saved us a 10 guy. We don't need them. We see that Ricky Starks can beat on both of them by himself, so we don't need 10 guy. Great. We got one bum out of the way. All right, it's time to end this show. I've been talking too long. All right. Thank everybody for your participation in the show. I appreciate it. Talk to you guys later. Peace out.